There he is.
How you going, man?
Hey,
Good to see you.
good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Jeez, long time. How long you been there?
3 years.
Dang, man. I remember the day you told me you were going.
I know.
Well, of course, the last 2 years, nobody remembers shit. So it's like a year. That makes sense. Yeah,
Right.
because the last 2 years we're all in a coma.
Totally. At what point did you become aware? Oh, wow, maybe I give too much of a shit about what other people think.
And I'm trying to isolate as an actor. You're talking about as an actor.
Yeah.
I think when I worked on Deadwood, it had tremendous influence on me. Not just because I was so glad to be on it, but because I was around a lot of kind of name actors, big name actors. And I watched them struggle with a scene. And I watched them struggle to learn their lines. And I watched them struggle with pleasing the director. And I watched them struggle with other actors. And I went, they're just like us. They're just like us. Now, something got them to that point, either good looks or amazing talent or luck or all of those. But when I went that, I realized they're just being themselves. And I can do that. I have as much right to be here as any of these guys. Now, I might have more trouble getting in the door. God knows, Anyways, but other than getting in the door and getting cast and being offered the biggest roles, we're no different. We're no different. And then I went, I don't have to be so careful because I see these guys I always tell the story. I saw Powers Booth make a director throw up. He scared him so bad, he made him throw up because he came on the set and I was afraid of Powers Booth, but I love Powers Booth. And he came on the set. The director started giving us some direction. And he said, what the fuck are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. God damn this. Jeez. How much? He just starts going off and it's like 7 a.m. And people are like, oh God, I can't take it. And this director, I think was a little hungover. And he just freaked him out. And the director went outside and we all saw him barfing out the window because he got so stressed out. But all Powers was doing was just saying, this isn't working for me. And he wasn't afraid to say that. And he had the clout to say that. Now, a guy like me, if I'd said that, they would have said, very nice knowing you, Larry. Here's your final check, But Powers Booth, they can't do that. So they indulged him. But I saw what he was doing was finding himself in the scene. And I thought, God bless you, man. He didn't hurt anybody. He got people a little uncomfortable. The actors in the scene were grateful because suddenly there was the scene. Oh my God, he just found the scene for all of us. He just created the freaking scene. And so I love when there's trouble on a set. I don't like to cause trouble on a set, but I love when it happens. I never want to be the guy because I'm the guy who, when it causes trouble on a set, they fire me because I just don't look like it fits me well. But I looked at him and I said, he's not going to do this scene until he feels right about it. And he claimed that. He said, it's my scene. And I love that. I just love that. Now, there's other actors that will do that and they're assholes. We know that too.
Right.
And they're just doing it because their ego. And
they've heard about another actor who did it and they want to
something
their muscles the same way.
Yeah. But then that just brings everybody down. But he truly was, may he rest in peace, a true actor. I mean, he really wanted to find the scene. He really wanted to find everything in the scene and he wanted to include you with him. He would say, come on, you're in this with me. You too. Come on. We're all here. Right. And you just go, yeah, thanks. And he'd bring you into the scene. So I'm trying to come back to the question you asked. When did you realize it? That was kind of the beginning of it.
So you were well into your 40s at that point, right?
Oh yeah. I'm a real slow, everything I've learned about my own personality and behavior and guts and assertion and pride. It's taken me a long time to learn. I got by on a lot of trickery and talent, thank God. And I got a lot of work that way, but the real true lessons, which a lot of people learn when they're 16, like my dad, because he grew up on the streets of Detroit, you have to learn. I didn't learn until much later in life. It's never too late. It feels just as good. I regret blowing a lot of opportunities, really messing up a lot of auditions and acting opportunities because I didn't have my shit together.
But that being said, I certainly see men actors in their 60s, 70s who haven't found it yet. And I feel, Larry, I think this is one of the reasons why I adore you so much is that your openness and your honesty, it's so present. You're such an open book. And I have always felt like a late bloomer. Always, 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 always. So
maybe a lot of actors are, maybe because we're childlike, you know, that's one aspect of it. But when you watch a movie, lately I've been watching a lot of TCM, you know, TCM,
yeah,
classics.
yeah.
I'm watching Bogart and all these guys who came up doing movies like during and after World War II. These were men, manly freaking men who had to become what they did out of sheer will and force. And they had no choice, you know? And so it's not our fault that we developed late. We weren't faced with, fortunately, the trials and tribulations that those men faced. And you were expected to be able to handle those trials and tribulations. Now everyone's kind of coddled. You know, feelings are very important, and feelings are important. But now there's, you know, you can get by with a lot more these days than you could back then. And that's why I admire those guys. But you said something that reminded me of something I said, what should I talk about? I go, I don't know, but there's one thing I want to tell, Josh. My three most favorite words as an artist, three most favorite words in the world are I don't know. I don't know. Because when you don't know, then you're open to learning, obviously, but it also validates your vulnerabilities. It validates your perhaps naivete and immaturity. It says, that's okay. That's where you are. Tomorrow you'll know more, hopefully. My goal as an actor is to learn. Everything I do, every project I do, people say, well, how many people came to your show? I go, I don't know. I didn't count. It didn't matter. I did this because I wanted to learn. There's no money in theater. There's no money in these projects I do. There's no connection to anything I do in television or film. Nobody gives a shit. But every time I do one of these projects, I come away knowing more about myself and about the material and just about how being an actor works. So that's why I do it. So, yeah.
So the Michelangelo, ever the student, always the student, always the
forever
student.
And ever, forever and ever, forever and ever. When do you really know anything? We don't know. I spent a lot of money. I paid a lot of people to tell me how it was. God bless them. They meant well. And a lot of what they said made sense. But when I got down on the set and the close up, the camera was 3 inches of my face, it was on me. It wasn't on me. No, nothing they told me was going to save me if I was suddenly, I don't want to cuss a lot on this show because I know you said.
All right, you're open.
If I was messed up, and I pretty much go into a panic every time there's a close up. I go into a panic.
Do you?
Sure. For two reasons. It's the most vulnerable place you can be on film. It's there in it's you, and everybody's watching. Okay. That was one. And the second is I'm not always sure what I'm doing. You know how it is. Acting is a slippery art. You may think you know what's going on in the scene. 5 minutes later, it might not work. So I always go into a panic. And I'll tell you a trick I use now, which is based on what my acting teacher told me. If you think about it, if someone puts a demand on you, if someone says to you, okay, you need to do this now, and you're not prepared, there's a lot of feelings you feel. You feel scared. You're going to fail. You feel in a bit of a panic because now everyone's expecting me to do something. You feel confused. You feel desperate. You feel all kinds of feelings. But the feeling that I discovered that I feel underneath all of that when someone asks me to do something like, it's your turn for a close-up, let's deliver, is irritation. Just leave me the alone. Why are you putting this demand on me? And it's inappropriate. You can't say that on a set, but you can feel it.
Right.
Nobody has to know. Nobody ever has to know what you're thinking on a set. You could be thinking, I want that script now, that script girl now. You could be thinking that. You'd be thinking that grip over there, if I had a knife, I'd stab him 50 times what he did. You could be thinking that. You'd be thinking, if I could be anywhere in the world right now, please God, take me there. You could be thinking anything. Nobody knows. So the best thing to go to is truth. What am I really feeling? 9 times out of 10, I was irritated. Leave me the F alone. Why are you putting that camera in my face? I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared. What do these people think of me? All those feelings. And when I embraced that irritation, when I said, okay, play irritated. Doesn't mean you have to be angry. You can be smiling and irritated, like, God damn you. Oh, fuck you. Yeah. You could be doing that. You go going, honey, I love you so much. Why? I didn't cheat on you. I love you. And I'm thinking, oh God, why is she asking? You could be thinking anything. I mean, you could be saying anything, but play that irritation because it's real. And whatever you're feeling on a set, let that feeling happen. That'll bring you back into the reality of the scene. You know, I mean,
I take such joy in hearing this, Larry, because you really have always in my mind, been the consummate working actor, because not only do you have an enviable resume, to say the least. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But you also are the guy who's, when he's not on set, he's working on his Kafka one-man play. And that to me is like, that's the artist, that's the actor who can't not do something. So when I hear you saying what I feel, it's just like, oh, oh, thank Larry. If you weren't 2,000, 3,000 miles away, I would kiss you. Right.
Well, yeah, that's why I love you, man, because I know we're of like mind.
Yeah.
I know if we were on a set together and we were playing brothers, let's say in a play,
oh,
we would talk about the scene a little bit here and there, but if they hated each other, we'd kill each other in the scene, because we know that's where the scene needs to go. But we talk about it beforehand, like best friends and consummate actors, but then we'd go for it. I know that in you, and I see that in other actors sometimes. But I want to say two things about what you just said, and thank you. You're very kind. As far as working all the time, I need to do that, but I'm aware that there are actors who, when they're not working, they golf, they go on vacation, they read, they travel, and then they show up. That works for them. The thing about acting is, this is why I say I'm always so suspect of any technique, because as my acting guru used to say, Roy London, it's a room, you're in a room full of outlets, and you have a plug, and that's you, and you got to plug in. It doesn't matter where you plug in. Find an outlet that charges you and do that. So that works for them. I have, maybe I got it from my dad. I have to be working. I have to be training all the time. How do you train as an actor? You can't, it's not, I would love to have been a concert pianist. I would love to have been a concert pianist. I love classical music, and I love the piano in particular. I also love guitar. And I watch these people online and I go, God, it's so beautiful. How do they get there? They train, they train, they train, they train, they train. It's like they're obsessed with it. So this is my training. Words are my notes. I have to have a lot in my head. My pieces are a concerto. I never forget them. Once I've learned them, I review them. I say them all the time, because if I'm called upon to play that concerto, I want to be ready, and I don't want to fuck it up. And it's only with practice that you become skilled. And I believe that as an actor. As I said, there are actors who roll out of bed and can be Hamlet, no problem. That's not me. I need to train so that when I come to an audition, I have this depth of material in me. I have this depth of muscle memory in me. I have a constant understanding of human nature in me. I don't let that go away from me. I think about it all the time, so that I can get a TV job or a commercial or a voiceover. I'll bring that whole person wherever I go. This memorization thing. I saw the movie Fahrenheit 451. You've seen that movie, right?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, please see this. It's the greatest movie.
Especially,
and of course,
now, I assume too.
What's that?
Especially now with all the craziness.
Oh,
going
yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens is they're burning books. Firemen don't put out fires. They start fires. They burn books, and everyone turns each other in. Books are illegal. So in the jump to the end of the movie, do you know the end? Does it spoil for you?
I go for it anyway.
What happens is he finally escapes. They try to catch him and kill him, because he's a fireman who realizes it's wrong and tries to get out of it. And he escapes to this place where he's been told to go. It's a secret encampment off in the mountains somewhere. And everyone there is walking around with their hands behind their backs, pacing, going. And he goes, what's going on? He says, well, every one of these people has chosen a book to memorize. And that's their book. That guy over there is War and Peace. That guy over there is 1984. That woman over there is, another anything. And so you pick your book. That's your book. And he said, you brought a book with you, didn't you? And of course he did, because he had a favorite book he was worried would be burned. He says, that's your book. Learn it. If this all ever ends, we will all be called upon to recite these books so that they can be made into books again.
Wow.
And I always remembered that. And I always thought, I want to learn a book someday. I want to learn a book. I want to have a book in me. So I did. There's a book I've learned, but there's also this other material, because I feel like we're kind of like vessels. Actors can be vessels for material, good material. Now, I've heard in Russia that the practice in some of the theaters is you have a role, let's say, that you've done that you're really good at. Let's say it's King Lear, and you learn that role, and you're expected to know that role, and you're called upon by different regional theaters to come play Lear, and they expect you to come knowing the lines. So we know, like, Gregor Anatovic, he's a great leader. Let's call him, see if he's available. He comes in, steps in, they block, and they do the play. So you carry a play in you. So that always fascinated me,
Wow.
because God knows we sit around as actors going, what am I supposed to do for 2 years when there's no auditions? And what am I do? I'm losing my freaking mind. And you start to lose your sense of what you are and what you do. So it gives you something, it gives you a mooring. It gives you a mooring, and it's just kind of fun. It's kind of interesting for me.
Well, and that it's one thing to go out and pick up somebody else's play, to pick up somebody else's book, to go do that thing, to go do their thing.
Right.
But that you find your own thing, you create your own thing. How much Dostoevsky did you read? Was it Dostoevsky? Yeah.
I have some, let me show you. I have something called the ODK cycle. Okay. I have an Orwell piece. I have a Dostoevsky piece, and I'm working on my 4th Kafka piece. That's this. So that's kind of like, I'm nuts. I'm really nuts. I mean, I really am. I'm Jewish, and I was raised what's called Reform. Reform Judaism is Judaism light. It's like everything's reduced down to a couple of prayers, but I wasn't fascinated with that. I was fascinated with what's called the Orthodox. There's Reform, Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox in growing degrees of traditional Orthodoxy. Yeah. So when you go to an Orthodox service, these are guys that have been saying these prayers forever. They started learning them in their youth, and it's it's a thick book of prayers. And they used to sit there and they do what's called davening. They say the prayers and they go like this, and they're talking to God. And I was so fascinated by it. I thought, oh, they're having a real religious experience. I want a real religious experience. How do you do that? So I tried to learn all the prayers. It's impossible. If you didn't learn it from youth, it's Hebrew, but I wanted that experience. And I wanted to have material in me that I could call upon, that anywhere I was, if I had to sit somewhere for 2 hours, I could recite my material. I could, and so this, not all at once, but this became that. I started with Orwell. That was the first show I did, Orwellian. And I learned it. And I did it a couple of times. And then I did Notes from the Underground, Dostoevsky's piece. Did you come to see that one? You came to see
I saw it online.
That's right. And then I started doing the Kafka pieces. And then an interesting thing happened. After I'd done 2 Kafka pieces, I went back to look at the other ones and I didn't remember them. And I hated that. I had them and they're gone. It pissed me off because I want to own them. I don't want to have to go back and start from scratch. So I decided I'm just going to learn them all. I'm going to know them all forever. So I run them every day. And so it's just like, I can say it like a prayer. It is a part of me. And I can bring the character from Dostoevsky into an audition. I can bring the character from Orwell into an audition. I can bring, Kafka's crazy, but I can bring some of his, and I never feel like I'm adrift. I mean, I do feel adrift about things, but I always feel like I'm connected to my art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a line out of a play. Anyway, there's a guy talks about how his mind is like a furnace. It's like a freaking furnace. He's kind of, he's crazy. The character's crazy. And he's trying to explain to this guy why he's so crazy. He says, my mind is like a furnace. He said, there's a fire roaring in there. And if I don't feed wood into that fire on a regular basis, or coal or something, the thing will just destroy itself. Because I need wood. I need fuel to burn. I have to burn. And that's kind of the way I feel. Thank God my wife is tolerant because I put a lot of time in studying and reciting, but she directs my shows. So she's grateful because I come into the shows, knowing my lines and ready to work.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. You've done a play. There's no better feeling than when the words are yours.
Oh man. It's freedom,
right?
It's freedom.
Yeah. Because then you can take that trip into that time and space. You can leave yourself and go into that world, which is, I think, the addictive part of acting is that we're literally time travelers.
Yes.
And it's a high like no other, and I have trouble when I've done plays I really like letting go of the play because I didn't want to stop going to that place.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
so that's what I'm looking for, but that doesn't come cheap. You have to do the work. You have to recite the lines. You have to put in the time. But because by now I've seen what the payoff is, now I'm motivated. But I swear this is the last one. The one I'm working on now, I don't want to do it anymore.
No,
Six is too. No, it's too many hours. I mean, it's hours upon hours upon hours. To know a piece, it takes me running through 100 times. To know it like it's mine is 200. It's too much time.
So you literally count them off?
Well, that's the only way to stay motivated. I have a goal. I know now after doing these shows how many it takes to get to where I kind of know it, where I can start rehearsing, and then how many it takes to where I own it. It's 100 and it's 200. So
wow.
I mean, seriously, I'm out of my mind. But as I said, at my age, I don't give a shit. I'm out of my mind, but I don't care what anyone thinks because, and this is the other thing you start to think, you start to go, well, God, I don't give a what anyone thinks, what I do with my time. As long as my wife still loves me and doesn't want to kick me out of the house, doesn't think I'm crazy. My kids are okay, thank God. I'm just going to do what I want. And my vision is to be an artist. We don't get enough opportunities to demonstrate our artistry. And we need to make money. Thank God there's opportunities as an actor to make good money. Commercials, voiceovers, crappy TV, whatever. Thank God it exists because we need it. But I want to be an artist. My goal is to be an artist. I want to be one of those classical pianists. I want to be one of those painters. I don't care if people think of me that way, but I want to feel that way, so that I can live with myself. And I say this to my daughter all the time because she's a painter. And I think I mentioned this to you. She like any artist, questions why she does what am I doing?
And she's a remarkably successful painter as well.
She's a successful painter, not as much as she'd like to be, but she's a gallerist now. She sews other paintings and she works and teaches art. So she's in the art world. And I say to her, if you are an artist, if that's your calling, then something in you is telling you, you have to do this. Your job is to represent the human condition. That's your job. That's what you were intended to do. And when you're not doing it, you're miserable because you know that that's your higher duty. So, and it's a pain in the ass. It's a very difficult life. We spend 90% of our time in the last 2 years, probably 99% of our time waiting for opportunities. Waiting to be acknowledged, looking for a chance to make some money so we can keep doing this. But it's worth it if it gives you peace within, because I know who I am. And I'll never be seen in that way. That's the frustration of this business, but I can know for myself what I do, and I can do my own projects. And I can know I may not be Kafka, but I am carrying on his tradition. I'm working on his behalf. I'm working for a very, very good writer. I'm doing his bidding, and that I'm happy to work for that company. That makes me feel really good. So then I got to go out and make some money so I don't freaking starve. I got to figure out how to do that.
Right.
But I mean, I wish I had your gift. You have the ability to generate income in a tangential, aspect of the business, which is teaching. I would love to do that. I haven't figured out, or I'm not sure I'd be a good fit. Well, I think I'm awestruck by what you do.
I would kill to have you come out here and do a weekend workshop.
In a second. I mean, anytime. Look, I said we're of like mind. We know what's going on. We know what we're doing. I think with young, do you think back sometimes what you were like as a young actor and the way you thought then versus the way you think now?
Yeah.
Right. And what do you think, comparatively speaking? Have you changed a lot?
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, before I was always a terrible student. So
most of us are. We're rebellious.
Well, yeah. And very often we just can't fucking sit still.
I'm with you on that.
Right?
I'm with you on that, man.
Like the only thing that kept me in high school was choir. That was it. Otherwise, my GPA was, I want to say, like a 1.8.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
You're a creative person.
Right.
You were thinking the big picture. You didn't want to be locked into this thing.
Totally.
I totally get it. We were all misfits.
I used to tell my mother, who is a retired school teacher, yeah. I said, this is just bureaucratic hoop jumping. Like I'm never going to need calculus. I'm never going to need trigonometry. Balancing my checkbook, great. I can figure that out. But all this other stuff is bullshit. and I don't see it leading anywhere where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I was certainly, I think as a younger artist, I was much more like, let's build a barn and throw up a stage and let's put on a fucking play.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, well, we've got to find the location.
I know.
We've got to get
insurance. I know.
Let me talk to some rich people who hopefully have some expendable income that can help us
put,
or else it's like, I got a camera, I got a lens. Now I just need a script.
Yeah.
Because I can direct it. I can do that. But I do think differently. I was a terrible student, so I was always kind of self-motivated, and it was always like, gimme. I want some of that. And although that is still there, that sadly, that drive and that passion is tempered by years of being in this business.
Yeah.
And the kind of
it'll wear you down. It'll wear you down.
Yeah, it really does.
You know that old expression, he who's left standing wins. I mean, no, I mean, it's true. It's like I always say, just when you think you've suffered the deepest, harshest, most embarrassing, humiliating defeat as an actor, wait. There's always tomorrow. And you know, it's the ones who just, you know, and it's the ones who like just literally scrape themselves off the floor and kind of try to put yourself back together and say, F it, those are the ones. The reason I asked you if you think differently now is because the reason I'm always hesitant to teach young actors or younger actors is because when I started school, and I had a really brilliant teacher named Delia Salvi, and we all thought she was a fool. And the older I got, the more I looked back at what she was saying, and I thought, oh my God, she was so right. But at the time as a student, I was in my own world and I wanted to do acting because it was fun and I could get attention and I was really clever and I never even thought about money. I just love the ego aspect of it. Right. So sometimes when an older actor is talking to younger actors, they're going, yeah, but your life isn't my life. So see you later, old man. And I go, I can respect that. I respect that because I am coming from a much different place now. So I'm always hesitant to talk to younger actors because first of all, they've got to find their own way. Nothing I say is going to change anything. I can give them a little insight, the encouragement. The main thing I can tell actors is hang in there. It's a beautiful art. Just do it. Do what you love. I can tell them that. But as far as technique, I had to learn all that by making 1,000 mistakes, 1,000,000 mistakes. No, nothing anyone ever told me kept me from making those mistakes. And I wish it could have because I wanted the answers, but someone would give me the answer and I'd fuck it up anyway. I blew more auditions. Right. I've blown more than I succeeded. I've messed up. You know that, right? That's the nature of the business.
I mean, yes, I know that in my life, but I look at your resume and I go, okay, it makes sense that Larry would have gone through that too, but Larry's got such an amazing body of work. And you know, like if you haven't gathered this already, Larry, I really look up to you.
Well, likewise. I'm telling you, it's the greatest pleasure to talk to you and see you because we, like I say, we think the same. Yeah. I know we see things the same way. And I can see that in an actor's eyes when I work with them. The minute I get in a set, I'll see, is this person, are they there or are they somewhere, you know, and you deal with whatever you got to deal with. But no, I know that about you. I know.
Let me ask you this. You just mentioned Delia Salvi. Is that her name?
Do you know Delia Salvi?
I don't, but I want to know what was so foolish about her in your youth. What was it that you were like, that's bullshit, that doesn't apply to me?
She was talking about craft. I don't give a shit about craft. I want to act. I want to, you know, I want to be funny. I want applause, you know. I mean, she was talking about craft, working the craft. That meant nothing to me. She would talk about, I swear to you, this is the first lesson I ever received in acting training because I didn't start acting till my graduate school. I was going to go to law school. Really? At the last minute, applied to acting school, got in. It's a whole story. And a bell went off in my head and I went, that's what I'm supposed to do. So the first day of the first year of my MFA program in acting class, she had us sit in a chair and do nothing but be silent and still for about 15 minutes, which was torture.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is, why are we doing this? What are we doing? This isn't acting. What are we doing? What are we doing this? What a waste of time. I'm paying a lot of money for this. All that's going through my head. Now, flash forward 40 some years. That's the most brilliant thing I've ever learned. If you can learn to be silent and still as an actor, silent and still, That will save you in an unimaginable number of situations. But we're so used to going to words and action, which is valid also. Both are valid. Words and actions are valid. Of course, language. But we forget that the flip side of that coin is silence and stillness. That is of equal, if not more, value. Look at your greatest film stars. When the close-ups on them, watch the ones that just do this. Now, what are you thinking as an audience member? What's going on in his head? What's happening? What's happening? As an actor, you're going, what's happening? Where am I? How do I feel? What are they saying? What the hell? I mean, and I discovered this late in life, but that was the first lesson she gave me. Now, I think, I have a theory, and I think you probably would agree with this, that we're all learning the same things. We're all learning the exact same lessons. And I think she had reached that point where she had learned the lesson that I now know and practice every day. And I'm going to mention something to you in a second. But at the time, I couldn't understand what she said. It made no sense to me. It didn't relate to me as an actor in my place, in my life, as my arc. I wasn't there yet.
Was that because she wasn't able to put it into words that your younger ears could hear? Or was she just going, here's the lesson, figure it out on your own?
She never said it. She never said what I just said about in the silence. She just said, do it. And I think maybe she could have been more articulate, but she was an actress who was teaching. She was a brilliant actress. I saw her do other stuff. So maybe that wasn't her skill. Had she said that, I might have understood, but I was much more interested. Does Vicky think I'm cute? Is Joe going to get the part we auditioned for today, or am I? I was much more interested in that.
Right.
Am I ever going to have sex with her? Or I wish that guy would just get the out of the class. He really annoys me. That's what's going on in my head. I'm thinking the thoughts of a 1978 23-year-old.
Right.
So it didn't matter. I wasn't ready to hear what she had to teach. And it's a shame. And even if I had understood, it might not have related, because the beauty of younger actors is they don't really think. They just kind of are instinctive. So you don't want to take that away from them. You said the other day that you tell your students sometimes you can't just take a 6-week class and then expect your career to take off. Well, I would maybe disagree with that. I think you maybe can, because what youth has that we don't have is a lack of self-consciousness in a way. I'm just me. I just have, they're coming out all over the place, and they're a little out of control and unpredictable and maybe not professional, but they have what we all want, which is pure youthful energy. So they might very well get work. And if they've got their shit together, they'll keep getting work, So that's why I started out saying to you yesterday, I'm hesitant sometimes to teach or explain things, because I'm just talking about, I hate this, it sounds egotistical, I'm just talking about me.
Yeah.
Works for me. And you're talking about works for you.
Yeah.
If we have something in common, and that can reassure us, that's fantastic. But I always assume that, like, I have no idea your frame of reference. You have no idea mine. And like I said, if we were on a set together, you ever worked with an actor that goes, hey, listen, on your close-up, you know what you should do? You ever have an actor try to tell you what to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and you just go, dude, or miss, you have no idea what's going on in my head right now. You have no idea. And you're telling me it's not helping. So again, irritation, get the out of my face. It's so irritating being on a set. There's nothing more irritating. It's thrilling and exciting, but you got a million people, a million distractions. You got egos all over the place. You're trying to remember your lines. You're dabbing your freaking face with makeup and shit like that. Your costume doesn't fit. You're asking the prop guy if you can do this, and he's saying, no, leave it alone. You're like this. You're a guest star. You're only there for one day. Everyone else has been there for 5 months. They don't give a shit about you. They just want you to remember your lines and get the frick off the set, right? So there's a million things to irritate you. So play it. I mean, I guarantee you walk onto a set, you're going to be, aside from being scared and confused and thrilled, you're going to be irritated. So play it,
It's so fun.
I mean, this is the beauty of what we do. We don't try to get away from human nature and feelings. We try to study them and play them. So anything goes. That was the most reassuring thing my acting teacher ever told me. He said, doesn't matter what you're feeling on any particular day. That's what you're feeling. Play it. And truth will always carry you.
I think there are a lot of actors right now who kind of come at it from the final product. I want to look like that. How do I create that look? And I have to go, that is absolutely the wrong way to approach this. And if that's the way you're approaching your craft, then you're not really clear on what this craft is. This craft is, we are emotional messes. We're, nobody goes to see a movie to watch everybody get along. Nobody turns on Mayor of Easttown to watch Kate Winslet have a just another Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Everything is loaded with something that's tough, something that's hard, something that's leaves a taste in our mouth that brings.
Well, if we want it to be interesting, it is.
Right, right.
I don't know if this guy made this up or not, but an actor told me a story once. It almost sounded like it was made up, but he was working in England, and there was some actor. He went to see him on stage or something. I don't know how it came about, but he just idolized this actor. He was so good. He was so amazing. And he found him in the cafeteria of the theater. And he went over to him. Again, this could be completely made up, but it made so much sense to me. He said, Mr. Gielgud or whatever, Mr. Yorkshire, you're my favorite actor. You always have been. You're so amazing. I don't know how you do. How do you do? Can you give me some insight? Can you tell me what's the secret to great acting? The guy's like, may I touch you? And the guy goes, what? May I touch you? I'd like to teach you a lesson. The guy goes, oh, yes, anything, Mr. Yorkshire. You're brilliant, He looks the guy like this. He leans over, he slaps the young kid across the face. Bam, like that. Oh my, Mr. Yorkshire. My God, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And he says, that's acting. You're trying to figure out why I did it. You're trying to deal with your feelings. You're trying to think what you should do next. You're trying to control your emotions, but at the same time, you must know why I did it. You don't know why I did it, but now you don't know what the appropriate response is, but you must respond. It's all this shit. You're acting. You're figuring it out now. You're figuring it out. You're asking yourself a million questions. You're trying to understand the situation, which is clearly threatening. You don't want to be slapped again. You've got to contend with a difficult situation, what we call stakes, right? So your mind is going, that's acting. That's acting. I just gave you an acting lesson.
And a brilliant
the guy said, he said, now go away, leave me alone. I'm eating my lunch.
I'm drinking my pint.
I'm drinking my pint now. Just get the, because after so many years, he was through talking about acting. He was through trying to explain it or tell you how to do it. He says, acting is contending with difficult circumstances and trying to figure out how to win. Win. That's what you do as a character. That's what you do. You're in a very, very difficult circumstances and you're firing on all cylinders, trying to figure out, what do I do here? Now, if the stakes aren't that high, you can still have a scene, like television. No, I just found the trash can on its side when I got here. There was nothing really in it. I did find this one piece of paper, right? Guest star on Murder She, CSI, right? Giving information. It might not on the surface appear like the stakes are that high, but if you want the scene to be fun and interesting for you and to mean something, you better find out why that trash can is like someone just slapped your wife's ass. Then you're going to be in the scene. And it's hard to do that sometimes because we don't naturally want to feel upset.
Right.
Who wants to go there?
No, we train ourselves to stay away from it. I want to be cool. I don't want to be too much this or too much that. Keep me cool.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, you can't live like that.
Right.
You have to find ways. I spend probably a good portion of my day calming myself down. That's my job. When things are slow, my job is to just stay cool. So initially there's resistance, but as you know, once we get into the feeling, once we're in the scene, it feels great because then you get to express all that. Yeah. But it's a difficult bridge to cross. Acting is a very slippery art. I've been doing it 43 years. I still I cannot predict that I will succeed. Cannot predict. I can do everything I can to make sure I get close to succeeding. I'll use all my tools and skills, the things I think work, but that doesn't mean I'll succeed. I may go totally flat in my close-up or forget my lines. I mean, but that's the thrill of it. Because when you pull it off, you feel like you just, did a triple somersault on the trapeze and caught the bar.
Right.
Then you go there like for 2 days, you're like, yes, sure. On the other hand, if you mess up, like I've done probably 4,000 auditions, you spend the next 2 days kicking yourself because you could be better than you were. You know it, but you messed up. You didn't, whatever reason, you weren't able to cross that bridge. So it's heaven and hell.
Let me ask you about that. So you walk out of an audition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming there are still in-person auditions in LA.
I haven't had one in 2 years. I've got a part off camera. I mean, everything. I went on one on-camera audition for a commercial last week. It's the first one in a year.
Wow.
Everything else has been this.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll use the proverbial in the room.
Yeah.
Let's say you walk out of the room and you just say to yourself, man, I the bed. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do.
Yep.
That was not what I wanted to do.
Yep.
How often do you kick that door back down and go, that was terrible. I didn't like that. I want another shot.
I've done it one time.
Really?
Yep. I was on the Sony lot and I did the audition. I was halfway back to my car. And you know how they make you park for these auditions, yep. Like 5 miles away. I'm halfway back to my car and I went, I do not want to go home and be pissed at myself for 3 days. I'm sick of that. I don't want to have that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell them I can do it better. I know I can. And that way, at least I'll give a good audition. At this point, even if I don't get the part, I want the satisfaction of showing them what I know I can do.
Yeah.
So I knock on the door. I've asked other times and they said no, but this time I knocked on the door and I said, can I please? And they looked at each other and went, yeah, okay. And I went, great. Do you know that I was just as bad the second time? Just as bad, maybe worse. So that just goes to show you, in your head, you think you can do it, but brilliant acting in your head is worth shit. Brilliant acting in your head never translates into acting. Only what happens in the moment is what counts. And it wasn't better, which made it twice as embarrassing because now it's bad twice. But I couldn't even tell you how many auditions I've just blown it. And the hardest part of the whole thing was just trying to forget about it for the next week. And eventually your brain just gives up and just says, okay, fine, I blew it. So what? My biggest fear is always that, not that I blew the audition, but that my agents will give up on me and stop getting work. I don't want it to be so bad that people stop believing in me. That's my big fear.
Oh,
I have bad auditions.
Well, that's so funny that you say that because Liam Neeson always says that his greatest fear is that the movie he's working on right now is the last movie he's ever going to do.
He's just like, that's what I'm talking about Deadwood. You work with these big stars. They think the same way we do. They think exactly the same. I mean, everybody thinks that. I auditioned for something once and I was having, when has it not been a struggle, but I was having a particularly bad time in my career. And I got an audition for the movie I, Robot. Remember I, Robot?
Yeah.
For the part of the robot. And I thought, I know I can do that. I know I can do that. And I started panicking and freaking out because I've got to give a good audition. I've got to get this part, which I subsequently, of course, didn't get. But I went to my acting teacher at the time and I said, you've got to help me. And he was so kind. And he said, come over after I'm teaching a class tonight. Come over. I'm going to give you a private coaching on it. So he did. And then he said, walk down with me to the garage, Larry. Come, I'll give you a ride back up to your car. And I get in the car with him. And I said, this means so much to me. Thank you so much. And he goes, yeah, I'm sorry, Larry. I didn't realize this was the last audition you were ever going to have. Like that. And I said, well, no, probably not. And he goes, well, you're acting like it is. So calm down. It's just a movie, And he was so right. But it's hard to remember that because you always think it's the last audition. It's the last movie. It's the last TV show I'll ever get. I went 10 years without getting a commercial.
Did you really?
Yeah. 10 years. And then I got one and then it didn't air.
And this is after you already had how many commercials under your belt?
I had a lot. I mean, when I was younger, when I first entered the business, I looked, like what they were looking for a lot. And so I worked a lot, but then it just kind of stopped, and I realized I'd reached an age where I wasn't the young guy anymore. I wasn't really a young dad. I'm not quite a grandfather. So, so sometimes it does feel like the last, but you just got to keep doing what you do, and trust. I mean, my plan now is I'd like to be a successful older actor. I want to be the guy they call for Lear. I want to be the guy they call to play Scrooge. I want to be the guy they call for Fagin or any old man. I don't care how I look. I don't care how ugly I get. I don't care how wrinkled I get. As long as I can get on my feet and get to the audition and get to the job. I mean, I just want to work. I'd love to have a career as an old man.
Well, isn't that ultimately the goal, to be able to go from playing Romeo to Lear? you know, and
sure.
everything in between, whether it's big or small, or but getting to explore all of the possibilities that God gave you in this.
Yeah. And the real benefit is now I'm looking at roles that are appropriate for my age. And that's a whole new area. I mean, it's not like you get tired because I had to play the same character my whole life. I played a range of characters, and now I'm playing older men. And I like it. I like playing cantankerous, old, crazy men. Whatever you want me to do, because that's now going to be my thing, you know? So yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about being a character actor, is that, you know, they don't stop writing parts for old men. There's not much there out there for you. Yeah. But there's old men. And now that's the thing about stage that's so satisfying is, and that's why another reason I do these projects is I can do whatever I want on stage. You know, I cast myself, and these are projects which are virtually no budget projects. Right. So I can keep exploring that on my own, you know. Yeah, I mean, wow. Crazy, huh?
I remember calling you before I moved to Atlanta. Yeah. I can't remember exactly the situation.
I remember that phone call. I don't remember exactly what we talked about either, but I do remember you calling me. What did you ask me?
So I called you and I said, Larry, I have a situation, and I think I'm doing battle with my ego. And I said,
gee, when does that ever happen?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I said, you know, they're offering me the role, but they're not giving me guest star. They have to keep it at co-star. And I said, you were.
What did I say?
Well, you were brilliant. Honestly, you were.
I'm trying to think what I would have said.
You were like Obi-Wan. And I said, you work all the time. I would kill to have your career. I would kill to have a portion of what you've got, because I'm just so enamored of what you do and your connection and your commitment and the fact that you do so much. I said,
please, no,
stop, please, no more.
No, just stop it. You're embarrassing me. Anyways, go on.
And I just said, what do you do in situations like this? When do you fight for what's yours and like, no, I want the guest star? Or do you just take the job and you go, I just like to work?
I thought that's what I was going to say. I couldn't remember, but that's what I would say now. Yeah, that's what I would say.
And it was such that loving, gentle slap across the face for me.
Did you take it?
I did take it. Did you
have a good time?
Because I was like, I don't even remember what the job was. You know, but I remember at the time just going, oh, God damn it, Larry's right. Larry's right. He's right. What am I doing thinking that I deserve this thing, or that I've maybe I have earned it in some way, but like, that's my ego talking, and I just want to be a kid in the sandbox.
There's a game that's played, the Hollywood game, with your billing and the size of your trailer and where your name is in the titles and all that stuff. And I recognize that's a game that needs to be played because that's how you progress, let's say. But I love being on sets. I love being on the lot. Whenever I get on the lot, I feel like I've been given tickets to Disneyland. I love being given a trailer. I love being given wardrobe. I love being brought to the scene. I like rehearsing the scene. I like being directed. I like watching the camera move. I like when it comes in. I just love it. I just love it. Yeah. I love when they wrap and you feel like you did it. I love the makeup trailer, you know, where there's all the gossip in the makeup trailer. I love that. I freaking love it. And it's so rare that we get to do it. God willing, you and I both should get on a series and just get tired of it. You know, those people who come onto a series and they're tired of it and you go, I got to respect that. You've been doing this for 12 hours a day for 6 months. I got to respect that. You guys are exhausted. Yeah. And I hope I never get to where it seems that blasé.
That would be a great problem to have.
Well, somebody said to me the other day, said, God, the makeup that person has to wear, the hours they work, and I go, yeah, but at the end of the week, there's a big fat check, and that eases the pain. That really eases the pain.
Sure does.
You know? So, I mean, but I'm at a place now, for many years, I wanted to do film. I say to my agents, give me film. I don't care if it's a low budget. No, I want to be in a film. I want to get into the character. Now I've changed. Now it's like, now I want to do TV. I want to do TV. It's fast. The money's great. There's residuals. Mm-hmm. You don't waste a lot of time. You know, you just get in, get out. You use your skills. No one's expecting that much of you because it's kind of, they just got to get it in the can. Mm-hmm. So there's money there. And then I'll go create my art elsewhere. Sometimes television can be gratifying, but you talk about a show like Deadwood, which was very gratifying. That wasn't a normal television show. Every episode was shot like a feature. They would take a month to shoot an episode. That's unheard of.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It's one of the reasons that it ended, because it was just so expensive.
Wow.
That's why it looked so good. That's why the scenes were so good. David Milch would come in before every scene, and he'd just sit down and talk to us about the meaning of the scene, and how it related to the overall picture. And this is what your character wants. And so there's an hour right there. Then they'd block it. Then they'd shoot like 30 takes. Then they'd come around for coverage. It was crazy. I lucked out on that one.
How long were you on that show?
3 seasons.
Oh,
There were 36 how many episodes did I do? I don't know. That was never made a regular. I was a guest star. They never told you.
really?
There were a handful of people they made regulars, and they got a contract and everything. But guys like me, we were just like, yeah, we'll call you when we call you. And you would say, yes, please, sir. Anytime. So I'll be waiting in the corner. I won't even leave the studio. I'll just sit here and wait. And you want me, I'll be ready. We're also like grateful, to be on the show. And like, I remember my agent, are you with AKA commercially?
No, I used to be with I'm still with SBV commercially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my agent, Mike Abrams from AKA, calls me. He's got a commercial. They want to put me on a veil for a commercial. And it's a big one. And I'm like, oh, that's great, Mike, but I can't accept an avail because I never know when they're ready to book it. Maybe I can talk, but I got to be available for Deadwood. And silence on the other end. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, you don't understand. If you say no to them once, you're off the show.
Really?
It's like either you want to be on the show or you don't. And if you're not available, we'll move on. Your character's gone. So you had to kind of sit like this for 3 years, just kind of, but it was worth it. But I had to pass on some stuff. I also couldn't shave my beard. So I'd get a job and they say, you got to shave your beard. I did a commercial for Joe Pitka. And I told them at the audition, I can't shave the beard because I never know when they're going to, well, are you working next week? I don't know, but they might. So we get on the set and he goes, okay, go off. We're going to shave your beard. I go, I can't. We're on the set of a commercial.
And with Pitka.
And who, by the way, if you stand up to, can be very nice to you. You have to stand up to him.
Yes. We actually really developed an affinity for one another. But I want to hear about your Pitka experience.
Well, no. So he has a box. He calls it the casting box, and he goes, "Go get the casting box." And they start rifling through. We're going to replace you. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, business. You get one. You can't win. I'm like, ugh. I'm getting ready to get undressed and take my, knocking the door up. Okay, he said it's okay. Come on to set. That was it. Spot never aired though. I don't know if that was my fault.
No. You think they're not going to air a spot that they spent $250,000 on because one guy couldn't?
No idea. I don't know what works. I don't know. I don't understand anything. Just keep going. Right. So you worked for, how many times you worked for Pitka? Once, twice? Usually works with people like once or twice, more sometimes.
Well, he and I hit it off. The first job that I had with him, he was atrocious, and I damn near told him to go fuck himself in the middle of the set.
He would have loved that.
He would have loved that, yeah, and I should have probably, but I'm sitting on a couch just off frame. So like here I am, I've got however many commercials under my belt, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to get this great spot. I'm going to work with Pitka. No, he puts me off frame. So I'm sitting there kind of going, I thought I had a bigger part in this. This is another ego battle. So I have a book on set with me and I hide it underneath the couch, and he goes, all right, let's break for 5. So I just sit there, I pull out my book and I start reading, and he walks up to me and he goes, oh, you read, huh? And I go, yeah, Joe, I read. And he goes, put the book away. Don't be a dick. And I was already pissed, and I closed the book, and I was just like, okay, do I tell him he's a punk and leave? Do I tell him to go f himself and leave? Do I try to brush this off? All right, everybody settle. I'm like, God, I didn't get to choose anything. And so we worked on that one. We worked on another one where he started giving.
He put you in the spot though. You did end up shooting in that spot.
Oh, no. I didn't make it in that spot. I got my day rate.
You were on the set. They hired you. Then they put you on a couch. I heard about that happening. Jesus
there was like 4 or 5 of us guys that had been
Yeah.
going up against each other for years. And we
Yeah.
show up and we're like, hey, wait, what?
Yeah.
We're all off frame.
Wow.
And we're all
Wow.
having to just go,
Wow.
okay, I'm gonna suck this one up. But he then hired me for another job, and I started throwing it back at him, and I kind of got the wink, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he wants actors to stand up for themselves.
Yeah. He doesn't
And
like it.
then he hired me 3 Thursdays in a row without audition.
Wow. Wow.
And then like we hit it off on jazz because he's a big jazz head. We both love sailing. He has some huge, gorgeous yacht. We both love motorcycles and food and wine. He loves French wine. I love Italian wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
we kind of start this friendly, the French don't know about wine. What? Oh, all that. That sort of fun stuff. So we eventually really got along quite well, and I got to understand what his thing was. But no, that first job with Joe Pytka is terrifying.
Yeah, see, he's a guy who, this is an example of what I was talking about, how he reached a point in his life where he doesn't give a
right.
And things work out better for him when he just says what he means.
Right.
Why waste time being nice? Let's just get to it. Sorry. He didn't even say sorry. He says, you're not going to be in this spot. He'll just say, he's just not looking to protect anyone's ego.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing in a way.
Yeah.
And you can tell his crew loves him, even though he screams at them. They love him.
They love
because
him.
you know where he's coming from. And plus he shoots brilliant commercials.
Well, and he's loyal. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about him, is that he's remarkably loyal. Like Randy, his first AD, I think has been with him for, probably now 25 years.
Do you know if he's still shooting? Is he still shooting?
He takes a lot of time off right now. I think his girls are in high school or college.
He must have shot how many? 10,000 commercials? I mean,
last I heard was like 5, something.
Jesus. Yeah.
Just like, how do you get there?
Yeah.
And I think you get there a lot by what you said early on. And that is, this is what I'm doing. Nothing else matters. I'm doing this. Go for yourselves. I'm protecting my thing. You hired me to do this, so this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he's one of the only directors out there who will pick up the spot and go, who wrote this?
Yeah, that's right.
You don't write any more today. Go do something. He'll tell the agency to go themselves, which is astounding to me.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, if you can handle it, and you accept the fact that you might very well get fired, you can have a really good time.
Right.
You can have a good time. It can be fun because he makes good stuff.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: you teach commercial acting. You teach a regular acting class, right? You do any other specialty stuff like film, like particular?
I'm teaching VO.
VO, yeah.
Which is, largely kind of welcome to VO. Here's, it's basically acting 101. Yeah. I don't want to hear your voiceover sound. I want to hear you.
Yeah.
But I'm really considering right now kind of an acting umami sort of thing. The idea being kind of based on a quote by Miles Davis, who said, who talked about the music in between the notes. And if the lines are the notes, then what is the music in between the notes that gives those lines so much more weight, so much more heart, so much more personality, so much more depth? Because so many actors here in Atlanta, and I think it's really true all over, until we reach the point of going, oh, this is not what it's about. So many actors focus on getting it right. And I'm having to just pound it into people's head. There is no right. There's more appropriate. There's some things that work better than others, but the casting director is not necessarily looking for something specific. What they're looking for is you. And so I want to delve into that more.
That's totally on the money, man. That's totally, absolutely true. Anybody can do a traditional interpretation of a scene, but they want to see what you bring to it. Did you ever see the movie Mulholland Drive?
Yeah,
David Lynch's?
2 years, but yeah.
Okay, so I remember a lot about that movie, but one thing in particular I remember, there's the actress played by Naomi Watts, who comes to LA to try to make it. And she's trying to get ready for this audition, and she's rehearsing with her roommate. And she plays, it's a scene about, she's accusing him of cheating on something where she's giving this boyfriend a hard time about well, why would you do that? Why did you do this? Where did you go? So she's rehearsing and she's going, why did you do that? Where did you go? Why, who's this woman? And she's playing it totally like you would expect it to be played. Then she goes to the audition and she gets in real close to him. She starts literally just trying to seduce him, why? Why did you do this? And she's just up against him. And every line is just a seduction. It has nothing to do with it. The line's not the scene's not an interrogation. It's a seduction. Same lines, same actress. And it's so riveting because suddenly it's real. You see it happening. She's made that connection, that physical connection, and she's working this guy and he's responding. There's something going on between them. It's not a woman yelling at a guy who's standing like this. Never forgot that because I thought it's what I call the rule of opposites. Think of the way you think the scene should be played. Now play it completely the opposite, just for kicks, see what happens. Because you're absolutely right. I'm guilty of this. My wife, Pam, she always tells me this when I do a scene. She goes, well, I guess that's how you think it's supposed to be played. And I go, what do you mean? Well, she goes, you don't have to do the scene the way it looks on the surface. Find the undercurrent, and we know that that's basic acting stuff, but we forget. We want to please actors. We want to give them what they want so they can get the job. And look at it and go, oh, this is about a guy who's complaining that the work wasn't done correctly. So he's angry. So I'll give them that. No, it could be, this is a guy who loves this worker and is going, you up. I love you. I love how you up, man. Get up again. It's are you going to do this every time you come to my house now? Are you going to do this every time you come to my house? It's the same. You just have to make a choice that brings you to life.
Right.
And that's why I call it the overlay. Once you've kind of got the lines, you get the basic structure of the scene. Now find something in your life that you can overlay that fits this scenario. When have you stood confronting somebody? When have you tried to seduce somebody? That's real in your life, and lay those circumstances, your stuff. So now it's you talking. We're all good fakers, actors. Unfortunately, we all know how to fake it really good. And sometimes we prefer that because we don't have to pull up our own emotions. So it's a quicker, easier way to do it. I'm guilty of that horribly in voiceover. Pam is constantly telling me, she always says, let me hear your voiceover before I send it in. No, it's done. It's good. I send it. She goes, you should have let me direct you. I go, why? She goes, did you invest yourself in these lines? I said, it's for Colgate. I know it's for Colgate, she says. But do you think anyone's going to want to hear you talk if you don't care about what you're saying? Do you think anyone wants to hear you just read words? If you're not invested, I don't want to invest my emotions in Colgate. I don't do that. I do it for my acting. Well, sorry, you're not going to get the job. So, right? That's my biggest problem with voiceovers. I want to knock them out and send them off. And I never put in the time they deserve because unfortunately, and as commercials too, they deserve just as much exploration and commitment, emotional commitment, as everything else.
Well, and I find that oftentimes that emotional exploration is so much more fulfilling because we come to it going, it's just Colgate. And because we're relaxed, because we don't have the stakes, oh my God, I have to book this. No. Because we're like, there's nothing here. Oh, maybe there's something. Hey, what do you know? There's something here. Oh, that's fun. Let's do it that way.
Yeah.
Then it becomes this discovery.
Yeah.
Rather than, the theatrical approach of I have to do it this sort of way. The voiceover, the playfulness of voiceover, the playfulness of commercial work allows us to give less of a and therefore dive right in and see what's there.
Yeah.
There's so much freedom in it,
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's a beautiful thing. I would say my Achilles heel that I could, that I identify for myself. I'm sure there's many more that I don't see, but that's my Achilles heel, is that I make these decisions about what's worth. It's stupid. It's talk about ego, talk about ego. And it's probably why I don't get that much voiceover. I'm being honest, perfectly honest, because I'm not giving it its due. If you're going to perform, if you're going to use your skills, use yourself.
Right.
Don't cheat the material. But because I'm glib and I can pick up a page and I can kind of make it sound like I'm interesting, and Colgate is the best toothpaste for you. But people hear the fakeness of that. Yeah. See, that's the thing. That's why film is so amazing, why film acting is so difficult, because the audience knows if you're bull or if you're really there. You know, everyone says, I got to cry. I got to cry. You don't have to cry. If you're feeling it and not crying, the audience will feel it. But if you're crying and you're not feeling it, they'll go bullshit. Right. So it's the same with voice. People can, when they're listening, they can tell if you're being honest or not.
Right. Right. Well, because the blessing or the curse that we have with the camera is that our face can look positive, but our voice can sound like utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Whereas you take away the visual and now I'm just listening and it's like, oh yeah, that's why I used to date this girl. We were old friends from Oregon and she was living and working in LA. One of the first people I knew. We went out for a little while. She was working for Friends. And she would say, why don't you come down and let's watch a taping? And I was like, oh my God, the hottest comedy right now? Absolutely. Yeah. So I would go down and I would watch them tape and I got to watch Jim Burrows direct.
Wow.
Right. And do you ever get to see him direct?
I know who he is, but
well, of course. Yeah.
I never saw him.
He would put his head down, hands behind his back, as though he were walking in the park, counting leaves beneath, and he would just listen. And he would, nope, go back. He wouldn't have to watch it.
That's it.
You could hear it all. So yes, we can hear that bull. We can hear the lie.
That's what the word slick means. When they say you sound slick, I don't want any slick. I don't want, you know, the latest thing they send you stuff, no slick announcers, no slick. What is slick? Well, slick is bullshit. Slick
is that new? Slick. I haven't heard slick yet.
You never heard that before?
No.
Don't be slick. It's like, don't be, you know, like I know what I'm doing. Don't give me a show. Give me you.
Right.
I get mad at myself because I try. And I don't want to give a voiceover audition. This is really the stupidest thing about me. I don't want to give it the attention it deserves. I don't want to give it the same as I give an acting audition. It's like an ego thing. Like, oh, I'm an actor. You know, it's such bull. I'm working hard to get over that. I really am. You know, and plus the other thing is we complain we don't get enough auditions, real like TV, film auditions, but then you'll get like a stack of 4 or 5 things in it. And it's a lot of time to record and send it in. And, you know, if you put as much time into a voiceover audition as you did into a theatrical audition, you'd be doing it all freaking day.
Right.
You know? And so it's, part of me is kind of like voiceovers. I can just knock those out and get those in, but then I don't get cast. So that's my thing. I got to keep working on.
Well, you don't know it, but you're kind of calling me out too. I know that I can over focus on voiceover. And if I find that, you know, I'm an hour, 2 hours into this Toyota, let's go places, you know, one line.
I'm laughing because I've said that Toyota so many times. Toyota. I mean, oh God, shut up, Larry. You know Robin SBV, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one time I said to her, I probably shouldn't have, because I was just basically saying, just cut my throat and throw me in the river. I said, why, Robin? Why don't I get more work? She goes, oh, Larry, well, you have a kind of way of reading. That's the way voiceovers used to be done, but they're not done that way now. I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, I'm going to send you some links of the guys that work all the time at SBV. Okay. But you mustn't, you know, tell them I did this. And I want you to hear what's going on now, what's being cast now. And I think she was kind of like literally saying, you're done. I mean, I think she was saying, I don't think you can ever do this. This isn't you, but this is what's being hired now. And it would be kind of like, I can't even do it. It'd be kind of like Toyota. I can't even do it. It'd be Toyota. I don't even know what it was. I didn't even understand it, but they would basically make no effort.
Right.
And yet they were making an effort on some level because it connected.
Right.
They were connected to it, but it wasn't in a way that said, I'm doing a voiceover. My voice is mellifluous and smooth. And they weren't doing that at all. They had nice voices, but they weren't trying to impress me with their voice. They were just saying, they were going, this is a car you should buy. This is a great car. You should buy it. Like I'd say to you. And, you know, they always tell you that in voiceovers, that who are you talking to? Right. Harvey Kalman used to say, now I want you to think about who you're talking to. Go. You know, Harvey Kalman. But he was right. And I tried for a while to be those guys, but it's just like, I'm not good at certain things. I'll never be one of those actors that can do what's called a dry read, sarcastic read. Yeah. And you've either got that or you don't. And I saw that this is what they want. And these guys are really good at it. And that's why they work all the time.
Right.
You could try, but that's their truth. That's who they are. I'm an animated guy. I talk, this is the way I talk, and that's not what they're buying now.
Right.
So I do my best.
Well, it's hard to know, like, we can go back over the decades and go, oh, there was a sound to actors in the 70s.
Yeah.
There was a pattern of speech, with those Bogarts, with the guys of that era.
That's right.
There was always a little bit through the nose, maybe.
Yeah.
It was always a bit, maybe it had some flat to it, or had some that, there was something working about it.
Yeah,
And then there were the guys earlier on, maybe, who were, well, let's perhaps.
But I think we should go over I think we should take a trip overseas, darling. What do you think?
Yes,
wonderful for our marriage.
Yeah.
That's where I belonged. I was reincarnated. I belonged in the 40s,
You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. It had that kind of mid-Atlantic sort of almost English elegance.
It was called Mid-Atlantic because it was halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a story that Charles Grodin, may he rest in peace. God, what a great actor. Tell the story about how he got onto a set with Charles Bronson, and they were on a set together. And back then, the deeper your voice, so you go, hey, Charles, how you doing? Charles would go, I'm fine. How are you? And he go, well, I'm fine too. Oh, well, I'm doing okay too. What am I going to do this? And as they were talking, their voice was getting lower and lower and lower. It was a grumble because that meant something. I mean, like I said, my latest thing is I'm fascinated with how masculine these stars of that era were. Unapologetically masculine. Made no bones about it. I could kick your ass. Right. You better not cross me. And if you're
I ought to pound you.
Yeah, that's right. And it was a beautiful thing.
Well, we've lost some of that masculinity.
Well, who's out there now? That's like, who would you say is like the most masculine actor out there? I mean,
well, okay, so I've actually had this conversation with a lot of actors on sets, and I'll go, name me a masculine American actor under 60.
Well, we got to knock off Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, he's
masculine, but he's Irish.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. But I was thinking, who are our greatest actors now? Okay, who's masculine? I really think is masculine is Joker.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix.
I think he's masculine. I do. He has a sensitivity to him, but he's not afraid to show his anger or his physical violence.
Interesting.
Or his desire. I've seen him in movies really take a woman, if you will.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to say that anymore, but take a woman romantically, physically, which I think is masculine quality. So I would say him.
Interesting. I never would have considered that. I'll have
you know what? In comparison to the old days, they're not. The same with Christian Bale. Christian Bale's pretty masculine, but it's a modern masculinity. So I guess Joaquin's and Christian Bale's are a modern masculinity.
Right.
They also know how to be sensitive,
right,
and quiet, and just, which the other guys, they weren't allowed to have doubt.
Right.
So so even those guys.
I look back at one of my favorites is Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah, that's the last of the greats. That's the guy.
Right. Yes. I just discovered this movie called Scarecrow. Remember Scarecrow?
Oh, one of the best movies ever with Al Pacino.
I had never heard of this movie. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Oscars? Why have I never heard of this film?
Oh no, I press
play and I'm like, I've never seen Al Pacino like this. And this is such quintessential Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
That this is a different era of man. This is a man who was ready to defend. This is an era of masculinity. And it was kind of this kind of collision of this goofy, sweet, childlike Al Pacino and this kind of rattled, driven, focused Gene Hackman.
Yep.
I was just like, what a beautiful dance of odd forms of masculinity. And I've always found myself aspiring to that sort of Gene Hackman masculinity.
Oh yeah. No. And when he beats that guy up at the end of the movie, the guy who I felt so such a, what's the word, cathartic, was just such a wonderful thing for a guy to exact revenge on a wrong.
Right.
You know, which is what a man will do. A man will say that was wrong and you're going to pay.
Right.
I'm going to make sure you pay for that. And yeah, no, that's a fantastic movie. It's kind of like the flip side of Midnight Cowboy. It's a pair of guys.
God, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, if you, all those movies out of the 70s, very dangerous, very on edge, very unapologetically masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
There was no standards to which you had to adhere.
Right.
They wanted to see that.
Right.
You know, and you know, men of my dad's generation, they wanted to see representations of masculine men. My dad wanted to be a dancer. He trained to be a dancer. He never made it as a dancer, but he just so loved, you know, dancers. And at that time, there's a lot of movie musicals. And I said, "Who's better, Dad? Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly?" He goes, "Oh, Gene Kelly." And I said, "How can you say that?" He said, "Gene Kelly's a man."
Yeah.
Like a man. And he said it because Gene Kelly was athletic. Fred Astaire was like a spirit.
He was elegant. He was
elegant and sophisticated and light. Gene Kelly was like, you know, he could dance and then punch shit out of some guy, knock him out, and then go back to dancing, you know. And so that was who my dad wanted to be. I wanted to be Fred Astaire, you know, because I wanted to be light and fast. And, you know, my dad and I were clearly very different people. But yeah, so that's what, yeah. You ever see Night of the Iguana, the movie Night of the Iguana?
No.
Please rent that movie.
Okay.
I just saw it on TCM. And it's Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
And Anna Magnani, she was a famous Italian actress.
Huh.
And it was directed by a famous director. I can't remember now. Oh, I think it was Sidney Lumet.
Okay.
Oh, characters just torn apart, full of regret, full of torture. So I'm watching it and I'm saying to Pam, oh my God. And then I read about how one of the best scenes in the movie, that apparently they did 40 takes. So here you got the most brilliant actor in the world, and you think, oh, Brando is so great. No, he had to work really hard to get that scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, even the best, you know, it's never going to be easy. Never going to be easy.
I think that's the big thing for that I've kind of been awakened to, is that, like, no, it's never going to get easy. And once it gets easy, we know something's wrong.
We won't be happy. We'll be bored.
We'll be bored. I mean, certainly we will learn to command things a little bit differently as we get older, and things, you know, maybe we'll learn to work out the kinks in this area, but there's so many wheels in motion, so many plates that those times when everything seems to go just fine, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's wrong here?
Yeah, it sucks. It'll suck. That's why I said when I went back into that audition, I said, now I know how to do it. And I sucked, because in my mind, this is how I've figured it out. Right. It's when you figured it out that you better, like, you know, pull the tablecloth off the table, right, you know, and fuck up the dishes. Because when you figured it out, it's really scary. And this is what happens to people who are on a series for a long, long time. They're just trying to physically survive the job. So they start coming into work kind of like, I know what to do here. Okay, I know what to do here. I've been working all night on my lines, you know, and my kid's got a baseball game I got to get to. Okay, let's just do the scene. They figured out how to survive the job, and the art of it has slipped away. Right. And I don't know how you can avoid that. When you're putting in that many hours, how can you stay artistic that many hours a day? At some point, you just got to do the job. But like I said, you cash the check.
Right.
You know, so
sure. You said something yesterday when I called you about this. We were kind of talking about how anxiety producing the current world is right now, and just how everything is like, how are we going to survive this? Like, things are really nutty and threatening to get nuttier. And you said something that I thought was so beautiful. And you said, our art will save us.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Art acknowledges truth. Art acknowledges truth, validates truth. We have all kinds of notions of the way things are. And this is what I hate about social media now, because everyone's got, that's what I was telling you, I didn't like, everyone's explaining things to you. This is the way it is. This is the way it is. No, this is the way it is. Everyone knows the truth, right? But art tells the real truth, the universal truth. You know, a painting, a beautiful painting by Van Gogh is not Republican or Democrat.
Mm.
It's not a socialist. It's not a capitalist. It's not a Christian. It's not Jewish. It's human.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts a painting out there that says, I don't care what you guys are arguing about. I don't care what's going on in the world. You're a human.
Mm.
And somehow we all got put in this on this earth. I don't know why, but we're all just trying to figure it out and survive. All of us together, everybody. We're all having the same emotions. We're all having the same fears, different cultures, things like that. But at root, we're human beings trying to figure out what the is going on. And a painting, you look at that painting, you go, oh, this painting expresses that. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. There are others like me. This painter understands that. He's talking to me. He gets me. He sees that I'm a human being. And because of that, I feel okay. I'm not crazy. And no matter what happens, my struggle is noble and honorable and acceptable and forgivable, because we're all going through it. So art will save you because it will tell you that no matter what happens, and anything could happen, I see you. I validate your struggle. I see what you're going through. This is what I talk about God, God seeing you. Well, the reason, some people feel one way about God, others another way. The way I feel about God is, without getting into religion, is there's somebody who cares. There's somebody who's watching, keeping an eye on us, and understands that we don't know what to do, that we're confused, that we're scared, and just says, I see. So I don't feel alone in the universe. So it makes you able to face another day. I can face another day because I've been seen, that's what I meant. So like, for example, I'm working on Kafka now. Well, Kafka was a tortured soul. He was a tortured soul. He had a very difficult circumstances just within himself and with his father and his family and the circumstances he lived under. So he wrote this crazy shit. I mean, you read it, it's just like, it's crazy. All of his guys are just under attack. All of his characters are they're paranoid. They're struggling. People want to kill them, and then they're trying to succeed, and they can't figure out where they're at sexually. They can't figure out where they are as a person. So he wrote all this stuff. Admittedly, he said to work his shit out. And they look at it and they go like, oh, I've thought like that. I've been that confused. I've had moments where my life felt like a bad dream and I didn't know which way to turn. And he expresses it so beautifully. He expresses it in a way that's not contrived. It's honest. And so he saves me because he makes me go, someone else felt like I did. Someone else struggled with what I struggled through. So if I can learn those lines and I can say them, present them, maybe I can help someone else who's struggling. So I'm on the side of humanity. As an actor, my job is to care for humanity, for better or worse. And that's the way I'm going to do it, by saying to you, I know exactly what you're going through. I'm going through that. So you're okay. As up as you might feel, as I might feel, that's okay. We're human. That's allowed. We're human. There's no rules. And Roy, my teacher, used to say that. He used to say, take the worst imaginable thought you can have, the most foul, immoral, evil, violent, hypocritical, cruel thought you can have. Well, that's okay. That's human. Don't be afraid to feel that. You're a human being. And this is why, we like to do plays about strange characters, because we want to explore that. I don't want to hide from that. I want to see what that's about. I want to acknowledge and validate that so that I can feel like pure. Like I can go, it's okay to be a human being. I don't have to hate myself. I don't have to struggle with it. I can say, it's up, but that's okay.
It's honest.
So that's a long way of saying that saves me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And what I love especially is that you find it for you by doing the work, by not necessarily waiting for the audition to come in, not waiting for someone to go, oh, Larry might be good for this. Me? Oh, great. Okay, I'll send this in. You go, no, what do I want? What am I looking for? What in the grand shopping mall that is life, which store do I want to go into? Which book do I want to read? You have your own hunger, your own desire, your own
Correct.
thirst, your own
Correct.
passions,
Yeah.
and your own beliefs and your own questions.
Right.
And you're not necessarily testing them against the world. You're testing them against other thinkers, feelers, the other people who thought that they might have been crazy at times, because we all think we're crazy at times. You know, we all go, Jesus, am I the right guy that Ashley should have married? Are you the right guy that Pam should have married? Like, maybe there's somebody out there who is a little bit more stable, who made better money, who all that.
Maybe I can't cut it.
Maybe I can't cut it.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm going to fail. I was going to tell you the other word, the three words I told you at the beginning of all this was, I don't know. And the other glorious word as an artist is failure. You learn through failure. When you embrace failure, it hurts like shit. I have 3 a.m., moments when I can barely breathe. I'm like, I can't face what, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm going to, off myself, but it's just like, I can't figure out in my mind how I'm going to survive the frame of mind I'm in right now or what's going on. I don't see a way out.
Oh.
And scanning helps because you let go of those thought processes. But yeah, we all have those thoughts. Everybody has those thoughts. And I feel terrible for people these days right now during the pandemic, because like I said, as an actor, we kind of have unique coping skills in a way. Mm-hmm. We're going, yeah, it's emotion. That's my job. I deal with emotion. So let's take a look at that and kind of scientifically. Other people who don't have a clue are just going nuts.
Right.
And yeah.
I've been having new challenges come to me of late.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's, I think it's just kind of the world at large and everything and all the Sturm and Drang and I've been having these little bouts of anxiety and these little things. I woke up this morning at 4:45 because last night we went to the North Georgia State Fair. Fun, cute little fair.
Sure.
And I don't do roller coasters. I will climb 1,000 feet in a day on ropes, and I will ski and I will surf.
Yeah.
But roller coasters, not doing it. So we went into this little, the fun house.
Yeah.
And I stepped into that maze of Lexan, you can't tell what, because you're seeing through everything. You can't tell which direction to go.
Yeah.
And I started having this anxiety hit me.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, how do I get the out of here? Yeah. So I woke up again with that this morning at 4:45. And I was like, why am I thinking about this? And I was talking to my dad before you and I spoke for this. And it was, this is new. I've not experienced this before. This has happened a couple times within the last month. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And that's that contraction. And my dad, who has dealt with a little bit of this, had to remind me of the breath and the presence. And oh man, that's not easy. When you're in the middle, like I forget exactly what it was you just said, but you put it so beautifully, waking up and going, how am I going to survive this headspace?
How am I going to get past this? I don't think I can. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're fear-based creatures. We're having to deal with a lot of fear now.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of fear. So many of our decisions are based in fear. What's our instinctive response? If I go, boo, what do? You do this. Right. Contract. We contract. That's our defense mechanism, contraction. So yeah, in those moments, I'm trying to break myself of the habit. The first thing I do now when I wake up in a panic is I grab my phone, I start looking at the news, or I start looking just to distract myself. I look at stupid cooking videos or hunting videos or, and I do that. And it's a waste of time because that's a further contraction. It's trying to bring myself into another place. If I can get myself to do it, the first thing I do is start relaxing. Like your dad said, breaths are expansive. We forget to breathe when we're in a panic. So breathing is a great way to start. Deep breaths, anything to take us from this contraction to this expansion. And like I said, it hasn't stopped me having panic attacks. I relate completely what you're saying, but it hasn't given me a tool. And your dad was absolutely right. It's challenged. If you have, you're a very intelligent person. Highly intelligent people have difficulty shutting off their mind. Oof. And but you can. Like I said, I've discovered you can, and it's such a relief to not. And I think my dad, he was me on steroids as far as the thought process go, but my dad loved it. He loved when he was obsessing on things. He didn't see anything wrong with going crazy, just thinking about something and arguing. He was very impulsive. He was a very angry man, a very kind of scary guy. He intimidated a lot of people. And he used to say, my anger is my fuel. He used to say that to me. And he got dementia when he was in his 80s. And it's like, I always say, it's like you blew a fuse. Your brain kind of just goes beep, 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 like that. And then suddenly it doesn't work the same anymore. He was there, but he'd lost something. And I think sometimes he might have done it to himself. He got himself into such a state that he literally blew his own fuse. And I'm aware of that part of him in me. That's why I work so hard to balance it, because he gave into it. He didn't even think it was bad to be like all wound up and agitated and thinking. He loved that. He loved
gave him fire, gave him
yeah. And he when he'd get into a fight with someone, you know how they say, look, well, just, you know, calm down, breathe, let's talk rationally. No, for him, the solution for an argument was just to get more and more heated. I mean, there was no brakes. There was no point in putting on the brakes. This is my strength. And so I'm aware of that. And he never even occurred to him that it might be healthier for him to find some balance. So I always think of him, may he rest in peace, and think, I don't want that to happen to me. You know, I want to find that balance. I can be agitated, I can be emotional, but I also have to know how to chill myself out. I really encourage people not to play video games, not to go on the internet, not to look at their phones. It's addictive now. We're all up, but really try to reduce it, because it's all contraction. Now, I want to mention something else, which I discovered kind of halfway into this journey. Depression is a contraction. We tend to think that when we're depressed, we don't want to go anywhere. We don't want to do anything. We've lost our motivation. I'm not tense. I'm just depressed. Depression is an emotional contraction. It's a pulling in emotionally. It's the same defense mechanism, but it's happening in your soul as opposed to the muscles. And that sounds esoteric, but it really is. The same technique applies. If you can relax your musculature, you will find that depression will lighten, because everything you do here in this hand is felt over here in this hand. If you get one part of your body to relax and release, the rest will follow suit. Again, it's a struggle, it's an argument, but if you persist, little bits, I call it incremental release, you will move the dial. We are contracted by nature. I say in my sessions that thank God we're contracted. That allows us to write books. That allows us to give performances. That allows us to teach classes. These are decisions to bring together concepts, ideas, forces, people, contraction to advance an agenda. Thank God we're contracted. It's a beautiful thing. All we need to do is recognize the equal value of expansion and create balance. And that's where I think we're all up, is we're all out of balance. We've all, and our circumstances right now are driving us out of balance, mad out of balance, because we're so afraid, and fear motivates contraction.
Right.
You don't go, I'm so scared, I think I'll relax. You don't do that. But you can train yourself to go, I'm so scared. I'll bet you if I relaxed, I wouldn't be so scared. But you're reconditioning decades of habit. It's our kind of our, in a lot of ways, a biological imperative. It's that fight or flight. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you'll meet people sometimes in your life and you go, why do I like them so much? Why am I drawn to them? They just seem so, well, they're expanded beings, I call them. They don't feel the need to go around in fear. They're expanded. They're at peace. They're calm. They're making me feel calm. I recognize in them the way I need to move. And then we meet people who are contracted and we get contracted.
Right.
You know? And, you know, I want to be to whoever I come into contact. I want to be the one that tells them it's okay. You can relax. Everything will be just fine. Not only that, it'll be better, but it requires trust. Nobody wants to let go.
Right.
Nobody wants to let go.
How do you as an actor who is battling with all of that how do you bring this awareness, this grounding, this expansion into the audition, into your day on set when they go, all right, Larry, it's your big close-up, here you go. How do you bring that in?
You take your moments. You pick your moments. If I can, in an ideal world, when I get to the set, I've gotten there early, I can sit in my car and scan for half an hour. Makes the whole day different. If I can, when I'm in my dressing room, instead of, going on the phone or stuff like that, it's choice, 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 choice. You begin to substitute contractive acts with expansive acts. You pepper the day with those moments of expansion. If there's going to be 20 minutes while they're setting lights for me, I could sit and talk to someone over the craft service table, or I could sit down and close my eyes and expand. Scan. You just have to keep making that choice. It's very, very difficult. As you said, it's habit. There's moments where you're not going to have the time to expand. You got to go with what you got. But there's a residual effect, a buildup of goodwill, if I may. The more you expand, the more expansive you become. You may have to rush into a situation where you're highly contracted, but you will find that I'm not quite as tense as I would be because I scanned about an hour ago and that stayed with me. I'm not here. I'm here. I'm here. So do it when you can. But if you don't have trust that there's enough in you, it's infused in you. I can pretty quickly just go, all right, just let that go. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Whatever you're thinking, stop thinking, don't think. And if I want to get specific, I'll just literally focus on a muscle group. I'll stare at my hand and go, let go. And I'll just start doing it. Again. There's no logic to it. The beauty of it is no one can talk you out of the value of scanning. There's no logic involved. It's a physical act. It can't be debated. It can't be refuted. You can't say you're not relaxing your muscle. You go, yeah, I just did. That's not going to work. No, but I did. No one can debate it. You either contracting or you're expanding. So you take charge of your life and you say, I'm not going to trust the thinking process anymore. Thinking is getting me in trouble. I'm going to abandon the thinking process and trust my body to get me out of trouble. I'm going to trust my muscles to lead the way to a more expanded state. My mind, you can't relax the mind, but it will follow suit. Once you've let the muscles go, the brain picks up on that and goes, oh, okay, just chill. You use the muscles to guide this journey. Muscles can only do one of two things, contract or expand. You just choose the opposite. It's so simple. They can only do this or this. You can't do both at the same time. Once you start expanding, you have stopped contracting. And one of the interesting acting lessons I had once, my teacher said to me, we were just sitting there, do you have any doings? You know what doings are? You ever heard of doings? No. There's an actor's in a scene, and as I'm talking to you, I'm doing something. Give yourself something. And it's a wonderful key to finding a scene. Because you stop thinking. You just do something physical.
Yeah.
This scene is now about my making sure that this pen fits right there. It can't go there. It can't go there.
The Meisner independent exercise or independent activity.
Perfect. So it's the same thing. It's a physical act. It doesn't involve any thinking. There's no logic to it. No one can talk you out of it. No one can tell you it's stupid. You either put the pen where it's supposed to go or you don't. You either relax the muscle or you don't. So that simplicity. Now it's like when I'm really worked up, when I'm up, it's hard to believe that just relaxing my shoulders or my face or my neck, I call them the muscular zones, is going to do anything. If anything, I feel like it's going to make things worse because I'm letting go of control. That's exactly what you need to do. So you have to trust the panic, that you can move past the panic and retrain your body to validate the value of expansion. You're not getting rid of contraction. You're just balancing. So I never try to convince anyone of anything. I don't say anything's bad. It's all good. We're all human. Everything we do is valid and human. My freaking out is valid. Right. Characters freak out. I'm losing my mind. I'm going to kill somebody. That's valid. Right. I'm not invalidating people who are in a panic 24 hours a day. I'm not invalidating people who smoke and drink or whatever the he wants to do. It's all human. All I'm saying is balance that. That's all I'm saying. So that you don't feel like your life is spinning out of control, like you have a sense of mastery. Like I said, I may freak out, but I have a tool, very simple tool that will pull me out of that place. I don't have to take a pill. I don't have to do anything. I can do it myself. And that gives you a sense of confidence that I'm letting go of control, but at the same time, I'm gaining it because I have a tool now to master my emotions, because it doesn't feel good to be out of control.
No,
it's destructive. It's destructive.
Right.
Muscles are dumb. The brain is brilliant. Your brain will argue with you. Muscles will do what you tell them. There's no argument. If I say relax, it's not going to say, no, I don't want to. Why should I do that? You should do this instead. It's just going to go, oh, okay. So there's no argument. It's a very simple instruction to give your body, as opposed to going, I shouldn't be panicking. Why am I panicking? I was thinking, that's a
Right.
nightmare of contractions.
Well, just heading right back into it.
Put it aside, just relax your muscles. Someone says to you, we're in a mess, Josh, it's the end of the world. What are we going to do? I go, well, I'm going to go relax. What good is that going to do? Well, nothing in the immediate sense, but it will put me in a place where I can deal with that problem, as opposed to just going crazy and doing something like, nuts.
Right.
So it's just a tool. It's a tool.
How does it shift your experience in the scene? So if you and I are shooting a scene and we know that we just can't wait to play with each other, to just play together.
Right.
But if you're experiencing that contraction, what does it do to your awareness of the scene? How does it change the way you approach the scene?
Ideally, when you're doing a scene, you want to have left yourself. You want to have left all that behind. You want to be Joseph dealing with Sam.
Right.
Once you're in the scene, none of that's going to be on your mind. You're going to be playing the scene. That's where you want to be.
Right.
The scene will tell you. The scene will inform you. It'll tell you what to do. Somebody said to me, I was in a musical once and I started doing this dance as part of my character. He goes, where'd that come from? I said, I don't know. My character told me I'm supposed to dance here. Your character will inform you. That's why Stanislavski was right. Once you find your character, you don't need to do anything. Just live in his skin.
Right.
He'll tell you everything. He'll do things. He'll cause you to do things that you didn't even know you were going to do. You're the character now. And so the worst place to be is self-conscious and thinking about, I'm the actor, the scene's f***ed up, I don't know what to do here. If you can use that frustration, somehow cross the bridge into the character, then none of that will matter anymore. The worst scenes are when you never stop being self-conscious. And that happens to us. We can't avoid it. You hope, like I said, that you can at least take that frustration and make that the character's frustration. Somebody once said to me once, do you get nervous before auditions? I go, yeah, but if I'm lucky, I get so into the character that it's not me walking in there.
Right.
And I'm not auditioning. I'm doing the scene like the camera's there.
Right.
It's not an audition, as someone once said, you're doing the scene. You get one shot. It's very difficult because on a stage, at least you get a blocking rehearsal.
Right.
But sometimes what auditions call for, why it's so difficult, is that they ask you to give a performance with no rehearsal.
Right.
So you said, how do you integrate that stuff? You never know. You never know what's going to work.
But it seems like if we stay in contraction, then you're right. We will never know. Yeah. Whereas it seems like if we find that expansion, we may know. We may figure that out.
All I know is we can strangle our own instincts.
Oh.
We can just cut ourselves off from the very thing that's going to make us alive.
Right.
And it's coming from fear, and it's self-destructive. So if you can at least recognize, now there's those times I've played scenes where I go, I'm not there. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. So just start rolling. And I'm just going to be this guy that doesn't know what the he's doing. I don't know my line. And sometimes that'll save you. Just anything that brings you into truth. My acting teacher used to say, if there's something going on and you just go over to some crew member and say, like, this morning, I felt like I wanted to kill my wife. Just literally, I wanted to kill her. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you that, but I just had to tell somebody. You've come to a place of truth and you're yourself again. You're not, you're not like off in La La Land. You're back into a truth.
Right.
Any truth will do it. Of course, the deeper, the more emotional that truth is, the better. So reveal yourself to somebody. And be yourself, basically. Stop trying to pretend and just be whatever the hell you are. Bring that truth to the camera and you'll be okay. But again, we're skilled, we're glib, we're gifted at faking it. So we go to that first. It's safer. We don't have to reveal any emotions. Didn't feel good to tell that guy I wanted to kill my wife. I felt really embarrassed, humiliated, and upset that I had that feeling. Right. But that's who I am. Now roll the camera. Here I am.
Wow.
It's a wonderful puzzle that we have to solve as actors.
And each day, sometimes each moment, each take is completely different from the previous one.
Yep. Absolutely. And sometimes you run dry. Sometimes you've had like 4 or 5 really good takes and then suddenly it's all gone.
Then what?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Well, then you go, then I'm a person that doesn't feel anything. I feel nothing. Nothing you're saying is affecting me. I want to kill you because I'm so bored around you. The other actor, I don't even want to be here. Can you get me out of here? Can you get me another career?
Interesting.
Because I'm not feeling shit. I'm terrible at this. So help me. Can you help me? Appeal to the other actor. Anything also that connects you with the other actor, be that I want to kill you, or can you save me, or can I save you? It's got to be a connection. There has to be, for something to read in a scene, there has to be a human connection happening. It's not always going to be there, but you have to find it. Looking at that actress and going, God, you're ugly. Jesus Christ, I had no idea. I've seen you on TV, but now I'm looking at you, anything.
I've been telling my students lately, I've been saying, all right, so I'm going to be recording you. Yeah. I want you to make me the focus of your scene.
Correct. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Be other oriented.
Right.
Have a task. We're all told I got to feel something. If I'm feeling something, then I'll be good in the scene. No, when you're doing something, you'll be good in the scene. If you're feeling, then the audience isn't feeling. Don't suck all the air out of the room. You try to achieve a task. They will watch that and they'll feel something, because they will recognize and identify with trying to achieve a task. They know what that's like, and they'll feel something. They go, oh my God, I've done that. I've felt that way. I've tried to accomplish that. So give yourself a job. It's always best to get out of your head and into a task, either relaxing a muscle, saving someone, making someone laugh, making them feel better, destroying them, bringing them back to life, handling them. We all got to handle people. And the bigger threat they are to you, the more important it is that you do that. The higher the stakes will be, the more alive you'll be. Right?
Larry,
that's the game we play.
I could do this another 2.5 hours. Can you believe
we better not. We better not.
We
better not. We're going to get ourselves. This has been great. I mean, I love talking about this stuff. I said I didn't, but I do, because I love acting. But I am wary, like I said, of anyone. Now, having said all this, I will conclude by saying, if someone was listening to this, I would recommend that you throw everything I say out the window. And go on the set and figure out what's going to work for you.
Right.
And if they got anything from this, I hope what they will take is, oh, here's a guy who's trying to figure it out. That's what I should do. Don't take my solutions, but take, maybe if you take any kind of motivation or inspiration, it's that this is a guy that wants to keep working it out. And I'm going to try to do that too now. And then go do your own thing.
Not only is the struggle real, but the struggle is permanent. It's ever changing. And if there's anything that we are committing to, it's the struggle.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. The solution is to keep on fighting. The solution isn't something that's going to make it so you don't have to fight, or that you will always win. The solution is keep fighting. In fact, that's what my acting teacher told me years ago. I said, what's the secret? Just tell me, what's the secret? I want to be great. He said, hang in there. Hang in there. And I went, are you kidding me? That's all I've been doing. He says, great, keep doing it. Keep going. Just keep going, So you're still here. I'm still here, right? So that's what it takes. Yeah. It's the people that, will just hang in there and get through those moments when you don't want to hang in there.
I've heard people say it's a war of attrition, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's really true. It is a war of attrition. We're going to see our comrades go, I'm out, I'm done. This is absurd. Have at it. It's all yours. And every day we get to go, am I out? I can't be out. Or yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go get my real estate license, and I'm actually going to make some money. Yeah.
And you know what? You can't be successfully in the struggle until you acknowledge that you might fail. You're always on the verge of failure. The good thing is if we do fail, we'll be able to look back and say, I fought a good fight.
It can be really hard to get your feet back underneath you, and to get those hands back up.
Yep.
Holy shit, that'd be hard.
Yeah. And there could be long periods of time when you just don't think you can.
Yeah.
But the beauty of life is that every day is different. And tomorrow you might feel better, and something might inspire you. You might see a movie. You might talk to someone, and you might go, I got to do this some more, you know, and then if something pulls you back into it, you know, I've sworn off so many things, so many times in my life. I've sworn off singing. I've sworn off dancing. I've sworn off acting. I've said, I'll never do this, this, or this again. I'll never do that TV. And then you come back to it because we are wired that way.
Yeah.
We have no choice. We have no choice. Thank God. That's another thing I say to people. Unless you really know you want to be an actor, you won't make it in this business. When you feel that feeling of like, you know, I can't do anything else, you'll make it. If you have doubts, yeah, maybe I should go into real estate. It's pretty cool. And then you'll probably go into real estate.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, everybody should do what they want to do. I know a guy that does both actually. And that's amazing to me that he's able to straddle that. He lives actually in New Orleans. He did what, you know, you did. He moved out of LA to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Got a real estate license and he's still acting.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever you got to do, man, whatever it takes.
Larry, I can't
thank
you enough for this time. I mean, you and I always, I wish we could go out to dinner right now and pour a drink, and because I have always felt such a kinship with you because I think the crazy person in me identifies with the crazy person in you. Thank you. Thank you for this time. And
my pleasure, man. Thank you for what you said. It's very kind. It's nice to tell people about this stuff and just, as you said, to be acknowledged, to just see that, yeah, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. I mean, we're all nuts. We're nuts. We're just crazy. Nothing makes sense, but follow your, you know, like I said, you're getting older as what it's done for me is it's a weird thing. You start to become aware of the end point and you go, okay, now I just got to do what I want to do.
Right.
Because this game ain't going to last forever.
Right.
So, you know, so that motivates me, but I appreciate it, man. You've given me a gift by allowing me just to talk about this stuff because I believe in it and I don't get to vocalize it with people except like you occasionally. So you've made me feel really good about the business and what we do. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your wisdom. I mean, this is, you know, like I find myself more and more just going, I need some wisdom here. I need some wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm missing, but I need somebody with more experience and more knowledge and more whatever to speak into my life so I can go, oh, there's a new perspective.
Yeah.
I can get on board with that perspective. That perspective can feed me. Thank God.
Just remember what I started this whole thing with, the 3 most glorious words in the world. I don't know. So when you don't know, that's a beautiful time. Don't judge yourself when you feel lost. Lost is beautiful. Lost is a beautiful thing.
John Lacey said we have to learn how to live in the question mark.
That's right. That's right. That is exactly right. That is going to be the title of your book. Living in the question mark.
Well, I'll have to give Lacey the credit for that one.
Oh, he's okay. Lacey. I love Lacey. All right, man.
I'm going to let you go on about the rest of your day. Brother, I love you dearly. Thank you so, so much.
Likewise. Thank you. I love you too. And give my best to Ashley.
Yeah.
Give my best to her. And we will get together soon someday. Okay.
I would love to have you come out here and join us.
If I do end up coming out, I'll definitely call you.
Dude, we got a room for you. Come, let me cook for you.
All right, man.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Take care.
My best.
I will. Take care. Ashley too. Bye-bye.